All right, we're going to continue our Bible study in the book of John, Gospel of John. Excuse me. Today we're going to be doing John chapter 9, verses 35 through 41. Just a short little snippet, but pretty good. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said to him, "Do you believe in the Son of God?" He answered and said, "Who is he, Lord, that I may believe in him?" And Jesus said to him, "You have both seen him, and it is he who is talking with you." Then he said, "Lord, I believe." And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may be made blind." Then some of the Pharisees who were with him heard these words, and said to him, "Are we blind also?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no sin. But now you say, 'We see,' therefore your sin remains." Context is key whenever we're reading this. So any time in the Bible, this is a continuation of Jesus healing the blind man. This is him putting spitting into dirt, putting the dirt on his eyes, and then the guy going to the pool of Siloam, washing it off. And then last Bible study, the blind guy was talking to all the Jews, and they went back and forth, and there was a discrepancy. And so that's where it comes in, is basically the man who was blind, basically told the Jews that Jesus was not from Satan, because God hears the prayers of God does not hear the prayer of sinners. So anyway, that's the continuation, and that's where we're at. Jesus heard that they had cast him out. Jesus heard. So and whenever I think about this, that means that whenever they cast him, so they is the Jews, cast him, the him here is the person who used to be blind. So this is the person who used to be blind, is not studied. He's not a religious elite. He's not famous. He's not powerful. He's a guy that for his entire life has been blind. And now he sees. So that is a guy who has just experienced a miraculous healing, the ability to see. And as we know from this time, since the world began, it has been unheard of that anyone opened the eyes of one who was born blind. So this guy had just gone through something that had never happened in the history of the world. So understandably so, he's in a very intense state of profundity, insofar as he just had his sight restored and his blindness removed. And that's never happened before. Like, this is a really big deal. It's a really big deal. But it's bigger what it reveals about who Jesus is. So Jesus heard, which means that whenever the Jews threw him out, the him here had been cast out. Now this cast, I'm going to do something real fast, and I did this last time. The cast here is if we go to this Bible app that I have, the cast is ekbalo. Ekbalo. Ek is going to be something that makes it specific. So he is an object that has been thrown out. But look at this. To cast out, to drive out, to send out, with notion of violence. So there's a violent aspect of this, that he's deprived the power and influence of exercising something. So my camera's getting bad, but basically that's the idea, to communicate. Why does this work and this not? Maybe if I do this. So you see that? Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to say something here, because so that was ekbalo. Now if I go to Revelation, because this is just where my mind went. So sometimes I make connections. Whenever you read the Bible, you always want to say that this is a hyperlinked document. The whole Bible is connected. So sometimes you can read other parts of the Bible to get better insights on other parts of the Bible. Revelation chapter 20. Revelation, last book of the Bible, chapter 20, verse 14. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And anyone not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Now, this word here is not ekbalo, it's just balo. So if I go to the same app, I can go to the same app. Come on, camera. I go to the same app and I come down here to verse 14 and I hit cast. No, not Thanatos. That's death. Cast. There we go. Balo. Balo. Cast is balo. So there's the word in English. Transliteration is balo. Now, if I look this up, it says to throw or let go of a thing without caring where it falls. To scatter, to throw, cast in. To give over to one's cares. It just doesn't care. So whenever the Bible says cast into the lake of fire, God is casting people away as though he doesn't care about them. Now that's balo. That's anyone who falls into this category. This cast here in John chapter 9, that's what the Jews, that's what the religious elite are doing to this guy who was just healed. He's miraculously healed and he's standing up for Jesus and they cast him out. They cast him out. They don't care where he goes. Just get out. There's a notion of violence. Deprive him of his power. Deprive him of his traditions, his culture, his family, all this other kind of stuff. And it's almost fitting for this guy because he's lived his whole life as a castaway and as a beggar, and because he's been blind. So that might not mess with them that much, but still, these guys are casting him out. And Jesus heard about it. Jesus didn't see about it. That means other people witnessed this, and other people, you can think about the gossip around the marketplace or the temple or whatever. Man, did you see those Jews just threw out that dude that had been blind and now he's not blind and they just threw him out? So Jesus heard about it. Doesn't say how, doesn't say when, but Jesus heard about it. So when Jesus had heard and other people talking about this going on, the religious Jews cast out the formerly blind guy, like Jesus and God are going to cast people into the lake of fire because they don't care about him. And when he had found him, so Jesus heard it, and then Jesus found him, which means Jesus sought him. Jesus came to him. He said to him, Jesus said to the formerly blind guy, "Do you believe in the Son of God?" Now, the Son of God, the other translations read Son of Man. We're going to get to that here in a second, but think about this. Jesus asks this guy that he just healed, that the guy, whenever he got spit on, Jesus spit in dirt, put the dirt in his face to make clay. The guy washed himself off, and whenever he had his sight restored, the guy has never seen Jesus. He's never seen Jesus. Now, whenever he comes, do you believe in the Son of God? I don't know if this guy would have had the mind to recognize the voice. Maybe, maybe not. Because remember, Jesus was saying stuff, right? Jesus was saying stuff here earlier in John chapter 9, right before he spit on the ground and made clay with the saliva. So Jesus was saying stuff in the presence of the guy that was blind. So he's heard Jesus before, but he hasn't seen Jesus before. Now it's interesting to me because Jesus says, do you believe in the Son of God? Now the reason why this is interesting is because the religious Jews that just cast this formerly blind man out also believe in this notion of the Son of God. They just don't accept Son of God being Jesus. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7. Let's go back here to Daniel chapter 7. And in Daniel chapter 7, so this is Daniel, Old Testament, chapter 7, verses 13, 14. I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one, so one, singular, not infinity, not a lot, not, all the televangelists on television. One, like the Son of Man. So when Jesus is asking this formerly blind guy, do you believe in the Son of Man? Do you believe in the Son of God? This is what Jesus is referencing. These religious Jews would have believed this because Daniel is a prophet in the Old Testament. They would have recognized that this is spiritual teaching from God, and they would have agreed that they believe with this. The issue is the religious Jews don't apply this to Jesus. They reject it, specifically reject it from Jesus. Let's go back real fast. Go back to John chapter 9, whenever it says earlier, verse 31, now we know that God does not appear to sinners, blah, 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 la, 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 la. Where was this? Oh, okay, yeah. So this is earlier in John chapter 9. earlier in John chapter 9 says, his parents said these things because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that anyone condemned, verse 22 right there, right here. I'm sorry, I'm holding my Bible open. His parents said these things. This is the formerly blind guy's parents. The formerly blind guy's parents were brought to the Jews to testify that the guy who was formerly blind was indeed formerly blind. They said these things because they feared the Jews. The parents said, hey, this guy that's formerly blind, who is our flesh and blood son that you guys are asking critical questions of because he's saying nice things about Jesus, yeah, he's old enough to answer for himself, so we don't know how he is able to see, but if you could ask him and find him responsible for what he says, he's of age. So these are his parents who are separating from the formerly blind guy because they are scared of the Jews. For this reason, for the Jews had agreed that already that if anyone confessed that Jesus was Christ, he would be put out of the synagogue. Therefore his parents said, he is of age, ask him. So people are afraid of the Jews, and what did the Jews do? They lived up to their threats. The Jews said that if you say that Jesus is the Christ, they will cast you out. Yeah, they cast him out. So the Jews made good on their threat. So if we go back here, this Son of Man, one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days. That's a reference to God the Father. And they brought him near before him. So this is God. This Son of Man is God. Then to him, the Son of Man, was given dominion and glory and a kingdom. So God is going to give whoever this Son of Man is dominion. He's going to come on the clouds. He's going to come like the Ancient of Days. He's going to be given dominion, glory, and a kingdom. Then all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. So this guy is going to come, the Son of Man, according to Daniel, but interpreted through the religious Jews' perspective, is that the Son of Man is going to come and establish an everlasting kingdom. And everyone's going to serve him. So that's what they think. So whenever Jesus is asking this formerly blind guy, do you believe in the Son of God? This is something, the Son of God is a concept that the Jews would have believed in, except for the Jews did not apply it to Jesus. The Jews had in their head that there was going to be a military conqueror, a political ruler. So Jesus is asking the formerly blind guy, who was just thrown out by the religious Jews, do you believe a central teaching that these religious Jews believe? Very weird. Very weird, because now we're talking about, I shouldn't say weird, I should say very illuminating, because now Jesus is asking a question about a core belief and a core expectation, a prophecy that all of these religious Jews would have been expecting. He's asking about something that these religious Jews expected and believed in. But now he's asking about it in a way that these religious Jews had punished the formerly blind guy for believing. So there's all that going on. He answered. So this is the formerly blind guy answered and said, who is the Son of Man? Who is the Son of God? Lord. So he's addressing Jesus as Lord. Now this could be Sir, Mr., a notion of respect. This could be from years of him being blind. This could be from years of, him being subservient. Or it could be the formerly blind guy recognizes Jesus' voice. Because he hadn't seen Jesus, he had just heard Jesus. And so there's nothing to say that the formerly blind guy recognizes Jesus' voice, and so he's calling him Lord because Jesus is the guy that healed him. It's just interesting. That I may believe in him. Who is he? Lord. So he addresses Jesus as Lord. That I may believe in him. Do you believe in the Son of God? Jesus is about belief. What is the qualification for going to heaven? Belief in the Son of God. Why did John write his gospel? You can look that up in John chapter 20. So that we may believe. All these things are written so that we may believe. He answered, the formerly blind man answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I may believe in him? Tell me who he is. Who is he? That way I can believe in him. And Jesus said to the formerly blind guy, you have both seen him, and it is he who is talking with you. So this got me interested, because Well, I mean, like, it's the Bible. Of course I'm interested. But when he says, you have both seen him, and it is he who is talking to you. So the both here is in the verbs. So this guy has seen Jesus, and it is him who is talking with you. So he is seen and he has heard. Now it's interesting because this is a dude that used to be blind. What does Jesus mean here by seeing him? This scene here, this is where Jesus is going to use certain words, but he's going to impose different meanings, and based on the condition of the heart, you will understand or not understand. So if you love Jesus, when you hear him say something, you will say, this is God the Father talking, or this is God the Son talking. He died for my sins. He rose from the grave. What does he say? What is he trying to say? Jesus is saying, you have both seen him, Son of God, and it is he, Son of God, who is talking with you. Well, the only guy talking with the formerly blind guy is Jesus. So Jesus is calling himself right here the Son of God. So if you read Daniel 7, everlasting kingdom, dominion, all nations, tribes, tongues, Jesus is saying, I am he. I'm the dude. I'm the Christ. But what about you have both seen, and it is him who is talking with you? Jesus could be saying right here, okay, your eyes work now, so now you're seeing me as I'm talking to you, and you're hearing me as I'm talking to you. But I don't think that's what Jesus is talking about. I think Jesus is here saying, you have seen him. This blind guy, formerly blind guy, I should say. The seeing man, formerly known as blind man, heard Jesus say this. Jesus said, this is earlier in chapter 9. So this is this is John chapter 9. Jesus said, neither this man nor his parents sinned. Jesus is referring to the guy that was blind. This is the formerly blind guy. Neither this man, neither this formerly blind guy, or neither this futurely formerly blind guy that I'm about to heal, nor his parents sinned. His parents are the ones that threw him under the bus. He is of age. But that the works of God should be revealed in him. So Jesus, the Son of Man, is right here saying this guy's blind so that God can work. So that when God works, I must do the works of him who sent me while it is day. So again, Jesus is saying that he's been sent by God to do stuff. And then what's the thing that he does? He spits on the ground, makes clay, and with his saliva anoints the eyes of the blind man, and then tells him to go. So the blind man is hearing these words. He doesn't see Jesus. He doesn't know how tall he is. He doesn't know if he's muscly. He doesn't know if he's, blonde-haired or dark-haired or dark-skinned. He has no idea what he looks like. No idea what Jesus looks like. And there's a reason for that, by the way. The only physical description of Jesus you're going to find in Revelation, not the Gospels. But there's no physical description of him, and that's fine because it's all about hearing what he says. And Jesus is saying, hey, God made this man blind so that I can heal him, so that whenever I heal him, everyone knows that God the Father sent me. That's how it works. This bad stuff that happens is so that whenever you recognize bad stuff, you're going to come to Jesus. You're going to come to God and say, God, make this good. How does this work for your glory? When he had said these things, he made the stuff and he did the things. And then Jesus said to the blind guy, go wash in the pool of Siloam. And if you read that Bible study or listen to that one, the guy, the blind guy at the time, showed faith because he went and he washed and he came back. So he obeyed. He heard what Jesus said. He heard and then stuff happened, and then he obeyed. So how does Jesus say, or why does Jesus say here in chapter 9, later in chapter 9, when he says, you have both seen him, and it is he who is talking to you, or with you? I think this is because Jesus says, you believed me. You heard me talking earlier, and you believed me, which means you saw me. You didn't have to actually have your occipital lobe referencing and refracting light and putting those images onto your brain. Your brain doesn't have to actually send you visual images that you can, dissect or interpret as visual sensory or stimulants. That's not what the case is. You're not actually seeing with your eyes. You saw me because you knew me. You understood me. Your heart was able to receive what I was saying. And now I'm talking to you. Then he, the formerly blind man, said, Lord, I believe. I believe. And he worshiped him. Worshiping Jesus is a response to belief. It's an outcome. So as soon as you believe, what do? Lord, I believe. You better be worshiping. If you say you believe and you ain't worshiping, are you really believing in who Jesus is? If you really recognize that Jesus is the Son of God, the Alpha, the Omega, the Creator, the Ancient of Days, the sitting on the throne, the everlasting dominion, all tribes, tongues, and people, if you actually believe that to be true, whenever you believe it, you worship him. Notice how Jesus doesn't, and Jesus told him not to do that. And Jesus did not accept his worship. And Jesus said that you have to tithe 10% and wear fancy clothes and go to church at 10 o'clock every single Sunday. And Jesus said you have to do all the specific things that are in this book because that's how he judges everybody. No, it's, Lord, I believe. And he worshiped him. He believes and he worships. And Jesus said, for judgment I have come into this world. Now this is key. For judgment. For judgment. For judgment I have come into this world. Jesus came for sin. Jesus is about salvation. He's not about being your homie. He's not about being a smart guy or teaching a good philosophy or being nice or compassionate. For judgment I have come into this world. Not for being nice, not for being quoted, not for being used to tell other people what to do, for judgment. For judgment. Jesus, Son of God, is about judgment. I, Jesus, have come into this world that those who do not see may see. This is how you know whenever Jesus is talking to the formerly blind man about he had been seeing, Jesus is telling the formerly blind man, you believed me. You had faith. And because you had faith, you knew me. You understood me. You heard me. You obeyed me. That's what he's talking about. Because I, Jarrin, have never physically seen Jesus. But I have seen Jesus. I believe in him. So for judgment, I have come into this world that those who do not see may see. So the people who don't understand their sin and don't understand that they are dead in their sins and they're going to be, have God's eternal wrath, Jesus came so that they can see that, yep, I did not previously understand the severity of my sin, but now I see the severity of my sin. I did not first acknowledge that Jesus was the only way to take my sin, but now I see that Jesus is the only way to take my sin. I did not first see that all the things that I do that don't glorify God are bad, but now because I see Jesus, I now see all the things that I do that don't glorify God are bad. Jesus continues, and that those who see may be made blind. Now this one is more critical, that those who see, who are the ones that think they see? The ones who think they see are the ones who think they know Jesus. They think they know Jesus, but where is their worship? If they really believe, they worship. Jesus says he comes to judge, and those who don't see may see. So if you don't know or recognize your sin, Jesus came so that you could recognize your sin. Or if those who do see understand, yeah, there's a God, but I don't want to do what he says. Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah, he absolutely died on the cross, but I don't care because I love porn and I love drugs and I love lying and I love just, doing all the things that I want to do to be made comfortable. May be made blind. And this is being made blind into their sin. If you understand that you sin, if you see that, yeah, I've lied, I'm not that good of a person, I take advantage of people, I'm egotistical, I'm proud, I'm whatever. If you see that and you don't go to Jesus, then if you see that, you will be made blind so that you no longer see that. And these are the hard hearts. These are the people who, whenever they see Jesus, whenever they hear about Jesus and they hear the gospel, they just don't care. And if that's the case, they will be made blind. So the reasons why they're supposed to go to Jesus, their sin, eternal salvation, they will become blind to that. And that's what Jesus says he comes to do. For judgment, I have come into this world. Now, if Jesus is making himself available and teaching the gospel to people who have no clue so that they can understand, then Jesus also brings the gospel and tells people who do see how they are, and even though they're made to be blind. So Jesus comes for judgment. He's not coming to be a nice guy. Then some of the Pharisees who were with him heard these words and said to him, "Are we blind also?" Now this is interesting because they had just cast him out. So it's like they're all over the place, man. And so these guys had just cast him out, and now these Pharisees are with him. So some of these Pharisees, then some, not all of them, some of the Pharisees who were with him heard these words and said to him, "Are we blind also?" Jesus said, "If you were blind." So now Jesus is not talking about actually seeing stuff. Do you not see how there's multiple words, multiple applications here? That's one of the techniques that God uses. God chooses to talk to us through this Bible. Well, one of the ways that this Bible talks is that it will use a word that if you're not really interested on who Jesus is or what he's teaching, you'll read the word and think, oh, well, yeah, blind. I'm not blind. My eyes work. I blink and I can see the blues and the sky and the trees and the candles. I can see this stuff. I can see. So I'm not blind. If you were blind, well, that's a superficial reading. That's a technical, physical, straightforward, literal reading. That's not a reading that's trying to understand what Jesus is getting at. If you want to understand Jesus, this word doesn't mean that your eyes don't work. This word means that if we actually don't see our sin, if you were blind, you would have no sin. If you did not know that sin existed, if you thought that it was perfectly cool to lust and lie and blaspheme and be an idolater, if you were blind to all that, you would have no sin. Now, why is that? What is Jesus saying here? Is Jesus saying that there are people who are blind to their morals, or they're blind to sin? That's not what he's saying at all. What he's saying is that if you had no knowledge of your sin, you would have no sin. Sight here is knowledge. Sight here is an awareness. It's vision. It's understanding. It's comprehension. So if you were blind to your sin, if you didn't know about it, then yeah, you would have no sin because you would have no knowledge of sin. But now you say, we see. So you religious people are saying that you got knowledge. You know who Jesus is. In fact, they cast this guy out because, Jesus said that he was the Christ. So these are people who have a worldly understanding of things, but they think that they understand stuff. They think that they've got a higher knowledge or Gnosticism or secret wisdom or, a religious teaching from a different text of whatever. But now you say we see. So for people who make any kind of moral claim, don't lie to me. It's like these people that are postmoderns, whenever they say, sorry, folks, my camera's getting weird. These people that are like, there's no such thing as truth. Well, you just ask them, is that true? It's a self-defeating claim. So if you say we see, what you're doing here is you're saying we understand the way to go. That's what Jesus is saying. We understand how to live. We understand what's best. We understand what's right. We're pragmatic. We can figure stuff out. We're efficient. We come up with plans. We can tithe. We can do all the fancy religious stuff that people, go to or whatnot. But if you think that you understand, therefore, that's the conclusion. So look at this. If you were blind, then you would have no sin. So if you don't have knowledge of sin, you would have no sin. But now you say we see, which means we understand, we acknowledge, we know stuff. So if you say we know stuff and we're smart and we're, whatever, therefore, conclusion, your sin remains. You see how easy this is? I shouldn't say easy, but do you see how total Jesus deals with? Jesus says, do you believe in the Son of God? Belief is all that's needed to take away the sin. If you don't believe in Jesus, therefore your sin remains. And that's the issue. The issue is if you don't come to Jesus, if you don't actually believe who Jesus is and who he says he is, your sin remains. And so the person that Jesus is speaking to, the formerly blind man, my camera's all weird, the formerly blind man here, come on camera, The formerly blind man here is told by Jesus. Jesus comes into this world so that those who don't see their sin can see their sin. And when they do see their sin, they go to Jesus. And when they go to Jesus, they say, Lord, I believe, and they worship him. Then those who don't see their sin, or excuse me, those who do acknowledge that they're doing wrong, they do know that things ain't right, which this is everybody, because we all fall short of the glory of God. But those who see may be made blind. So those who hear about Jesus, hear about the Bible, hear about God's plan for redemptive salvation, and they don't care, they may be made blind. So they will be blinded to their sin. Their hearts will be hardened. And then these smart blue check markers came up and said, if you were blind, you would say you would have no sin. But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remains. Jesus is about belief in him. Jesus comes for judgment. And that judgment is predicated on, Lord, I believe. That will drive worship. Next time, we'll pick up John chapter 10. I'm Jarrin Jackson. God bless you.